Okay, good evening, everyone. So in the last class, we created multiple EBS volumes, right? And also we have created three different EC2 instances also. And at the same time, what we have done is while creating our server one, we created that with two different EBS volumes. One is like a root volume and the other one is an additional volume. And we observed that whatever the additional volumes we attach, they will not be readily available to access. To make them available, the first thing we have to make the drive as an online, and then we have to initialize, and then we need to create the file system, right? Without doing all these three, you cannot use any EBS volume on your EC2 instances. So this is the additional EBS volume, right? That was already made as an online and that was initialized and it has a file system. If I remove this 10 GB volume and if I connect to any other EC2 instances, can I access the 10 GB from the server 2 directly, or do we have to do any other things? Okay, by default, every EBS volume will be available as offline, right? Why? That is because of the security settings applied on the Windows operating system. What is that setting is, whenever you connect a new hard disk to your EC2 instance, by default, that will be available as an offline. New hard disk means whenever you are connecting for the first time, right? And if you're trying to connect for the second time, that is not the new one, that will be the old one. So this 10 GB drive is the old one for the server one, but the 10 GB drive, even though it is an old one, but whenever you connect to the server 2 will consider that as a new volume. So we have to make it as an online. Do I need to create the file system again? No, because already the file system is existing. If you are recreating the file system, that means formatting means every data will be deleted. So only once we will create the file system, and the online, you have to make the drive as an online for the very first time whenever you connect to any EC2 instance. Okay, so now already we have seen like how to make any drive as an online and how to create the file system. So now what I do is, let us connect the 1 GB volume to the server 1. Connecting means technically we can call it as attach. On the server 1, already we have a C drive and D drive. So this 1 GB volume has to be available as E drive with 1 GB size, right? Okay. So now what we do is attach the 1 GB dash 1A dash GP2. This is the name of the volume. 1 GB dash 1A dash GP2 volume to the EC2 instance server 1. And create few files. Just try to store some data also. So now this 1 GB volume is available in 1A availability zone. And the server 1 is also in the same availability zone. So we can attach. There is no restriction. You can attach it. Because the EBS volumes can be attached within the same availability zone. You cannot attach across different availability zones. Okay, so within the same region, we have a different availability zones. And I said that we cannot attach the EBS volume to a EC2 instance, which is in a different availability zone. So can I attach that to an instance which is in a different region, like Mumbai or London or Singapore? It is not working in the same region itself, right? So we cannot use in a different region by default. But there are some steps which we can use the volume or the data in a different region also, that we can see once we are done with the snapshots concept. Okay, so now what we have to do to attach that volume is log into your Amazon account and then navigate to EC2 service. Open the EC2 service. Totally, how many EC2 instances we have? 3 EC2 instances. Out of 3, how many are in 1A availability zone and how many are in a different availability zone? Okay, so here you can see the first 2 are in 1A and the third one is 1B. Server 3 is in 1B, right? So before attaching to the server 1, I will try to attach the EBS volume to server 3. Let us verify that is it possible or not. Okay. Right. So once we are into the EC2, then directly go to the volume section, which is under Elastic Block Store. And which EBS volume you would like to attach? This is the one, right? 1 GB-1A-GP2, which is in 1 GB size. Click on Actions. And then you can see there is one option called Attach Volume. Click on Attach Volume. Once you click on the Attach Volume, then it will ask you to select the EC2 instance to which you would like to attach that EBS volume. So totally, how many EC2 instances we have in this Northern Virginia? 3. If I click on this drop down, how many servers you can see? And those are server 1 and server 2. It will not show any EC2 instances in other availability zone. So there is no way that you can select server 3. So here you can see the name of the server also, which is server 1. And then what is this number, some kind of thing, which is I dash something is there, right? What is that? Which is an instance ID that will be automatically assigned by the AWS. Let me select the server 1. And don't change this one. Automatically the name will be assigned. That is the name of the EBS volume in your EC2 instance. So then click on Attach Volume. So that the EBS volume got attached with server 1. So if I log into the server 1, can I see that 1 GB volume as an additional drive? If I log into the server 1, can I see that 1 GB volume as a drive? Yes. Okay, let us see. So now log into server 1. Log into server 1. So already I have noted down the details in the last session, right? So again, I'm going to use the same password because the password will not change over a period of time. So this is the IP address 35.173.248.59. Let me click on connect. Let me enter the password. Now I am logging in to the server 1. So you are saying like whenever I log in, I can see the 1 GB volume as a new drive, like E drive or F drive, right? But what is happening here? So we are attaching that 1 GB volume for the first time, right? For the server 1, the 1 GB volume is the new drive. Every new drive will be available as offline by default. So first thing, we have to make it as an online. The first step will be making it as an online. Otherwise, you cannot see that particular volume in your EC2 instance. So what is the first step? Make the 1 GB volume as online in the disk management. Then after that, what we have to do? Does it have any file system? Yes. Yes or no? So who created the file system on that 1 GB volume? If you say yes, who created that file system on that 1 GB volume? Have we used that anytime, like yesterday or today? We never use it, right? This is the first time we are trying to use the 1 GB volume. That's like you purchase a new hard disk. It will comes with no file system. So you have to create the file system. So how to do that? First, we have to initialize and create file system by creating simple volume with some additional drive letter, E drive. Because already I have a D drive in that server, right? That's why I will use a different letter. You can use F, G, H, anything you can use. After that, I will create a file with the name called file1 and add some data, like some random data I will enter, so that we can check if I reattach that volume to any other EC2 instance, that data will exist or not. Without doing all these things, you cannot use that storage for the first time. For the first time, or not only for the first time, whenever to use any hard disk, it must comes with a file system. To create the file system, first we have to initialize that hard disk. And by default, whenever you connect any hard disk for the first time to EC2 instance, that is available as a offline. So we have to make it online for the first time. And for the next time onwards, automatically it will be converted, or it will be available as an online disk. Only for the first time, you have to make it as an online. So log into your EC2 instance. And here we don't have that 1 GB volume. So how to open the disk management? How to open the disk management? Just open the run. Make sure that you are using that command in the instance, not in your laptop. And here you have to type disk mgmt.msc, so that the disk management window will be open. So you can see the 1 GB drive as an offline drive. So how to make it as an online? Right click on the disk 2 and click on online. And it is online because it is not showing as an offline, but still you can see it is not initialized. So because of that, again, right click on the disk 2 and click on initialize disk. The hard disk is ready to use, but it doesn't have any file system. You can see all the 1 GB size is unallocated space. You cannot store any data on unallocated space. So right click on this unallocated space and click on new simple volume. Click on next. So select all the size, but actually the size is 1023 MB, right? But why it is showing 1021? Here it is showing only 1021. It is showing 2 MB less, because that 2 MB will be used to store the information about that partition, like what is the size of the partition, with which file system it was created, every information to be maintained, right? For that, the additional 2 MB will be used. So don't change anything. Keep that as 1024, so that entire space will be created as a single hard drive, I mean single partition. Or if I do like 500, then I can create 500 MB with one partition and the remaining space with another partition. So don't change this volume size and click on next. You can select the letter E, or you can go with any other value. But here you can see you cannot select C or D, because on this server already the C drive and D drive are existing. That's why you cannot use the same letter. Let us say in your computer on the desktop, can you create two folders with the same name? You cannot, right? In the same way, you cannot assign same letter to multiple drives. Let me select the E, click on next. Okay, so here is the file system, NTFS. Click on next, finish. Now you can see it is healthy partition. Let me close this. And now you can see the E drive is available as 1 GB volume. If I open this, if I create some file here, let me create a file. Let me use the name as a file1. Let me open this. Let me add some data, some random data. Just let me use some data so that we need to make sure that the data is available even if you remove the hard disk, not deleting. If you remove the hard disk and if you connect to any other EC2 instance. So right now the server is, the EBS volume is connected on server 1, right? While it is connected to the server 1, can we attach the same volume to the other EC2 instance like this? Can I connect like this? You cannot connect the single volume to multiple EC2 instances at a time. This is not possible. The only option is by disconnecting from the server 1, you can connect to server 2. So first thing what I do is try to attach the same EBS volume to server 2 without detaching from server 1. What is the meaning of this is keep that 1 GB volume connected to the server 1. While it is connected to server 1, try to connect the same volume to server 2. I mean this one, this volume. But I know which is not possible. Okay. So then what we do is detach the EBS volume from server 1 and then attach it to the EC2 instance server 2. That means we are disconnecting from server 1 and we are trying to connect to server 2. And then log into server 2 and observe the data on 1 GB volume. Okay, so what will happen if you connect that EBS volume to server 2? Directly, can we access the data? No. So what all we have to do? So first we have to make it online. Then do we need to, what we call that? Do we need to create a file system? No, because already it has a file system and it is containing the data. Just we need to make it as an online. Okay, so first let us go with the 11th one. Let us try to attach the EBS volume to server 2 without detaching from server 1. So go to your EC2 service and then click on volumes under Elastic Block Store. And before that, I would like to show you one option. So if you scroll a little bit aside, you can see there are different states of the volumes, right? What are the states? Available and in use. What is the meaning of this available and in use? What might be the meaning of volume state is available and volume state is in use? Available means the EBS volume is available to connect to any EC2 instance, which is not yet connected to any EC2 instance. In use means that EBS volume is already attached to some of your EC2 instances. Okay, so here, this is the EBS volume we are talking about, right? 1 GB-1A-GP2, which is 1 GB volume. We know that that is already attached to server 1. Let us say I forgot that this EBS volume got attached to which EC2 instance. Is there any option that we can see from this console? If you scroll a little bit aside, first thing is volume state is in use. That means this EBS volume got attached to some EC2 instance. If you scroll, you can see that it is attached to this EC2 instance. This is the ID of the EC2 instance. And this is the name of that EC2 instance. So you can observe that the EBS volume got attached to server 1 EC2 instance. And how to identify whether that is a root volume or additional volume is the root volumes will have the name like this. Additional volumes will have like this: XVDF, XVDB, XVDG, like that. Okay. So then what we are trying to do now? We are trying to attach the EBS volume to other EC2 instance. So select the EBS volume, click on actions, and you cannot get the option attach volume. Let me refresh. This is the one, and you don't get the attach volume option. And while it is attached, even you cannot delete the volume also. While it is in use, you cannot delete, and you cannot attach that volume to another EC2 instance. So what we have to do to attach that EBS volume to other EC2 instance? First, you have to detach it. Detach means disconnect, and then we can attach that EBS volume to other EC2 instance. So now let us see how to detach it. Go to the EBS volumes and select the EBS volume. Click on actions. Here there are two different options available: detach volume and force detach volume. What is the difference between those two? Or when to use which one? Generally, we will use detach volume only. But sometimes whenever you are trying to detach, it is unable to detach the volume from your EC2 instance. In that case, you have to use the force detach. What might be the reason that the EBS volume cannot be detached? Any guess? What might be the reason or the situation where the Amazon cannot detach your EBS volume from the EC2 instance? Okay, so everybody will use like pen drives, right? So how you will disconnect the pen drive? Like directly you will remove that, right? Is that the recommended way to disconnect the pen drive? No. Generally what we have to do, you have to go to somewhere here on the USB, right click, safely remove hardware. So while you clicked on that, have you ever found anything like unable to safely remove some kind of a message? No. Okay. Sometimes you will get that message also. When is, if you open any file in that pen drive, or some files are getting used by your laptop, at that particular point of time, that USB cannot be safely removed. That means the USB cannot be properly disconnected. So what we do in that case, just directly we will remove it, right? So here, if you open any file, let us say here, this is the one, right? We have a file. If I keep this file open, and if I try to detach the volume, Amazon will not be able to detach the volume. There is a 50-50 chance. Sometimes Amazon will close the file forcefully and the volume will be detached. Sometimes even AWS cannot detach your volume. In that case, you have to use the force detach volume, like forcefully disconnecting the EBS volume, but which is not recommended, because sometimes the whatever the file got opened, that file might get corrupted. Okay, now here let me click on detach volume, click on detach, and the EBS volume got detached. So how can we know that? If you scroll aside, still it is showing as in use. Why? Just use this one, refresh, then the status will be updated. This is the volume. You can see the status as available. So now what I do is, I will attach this volume to the server 2, second EC2 instance. How to do that? Select the EBS volume, the same as like how we attach to the server 1. Click on actions, attach volume. So here, select the server 2 and click on attach volume. So if I log into the server 2, am I able to see all the data? This is server 1, right? So if I open that file explorer and if I go to this PC, I cannot see that E drive because I already disconnected. Okay, let me minimize this. I don't need that anymore. Now the next step is we need to log into the server 2 and we need to check that the 1 GB volume is available directly or not. But it is not available to access directly. What we have to do is make it as online. That is enough because already that 1 GB volume is having the file system and it is already having the data. Don't try to format it. If you do a format, you will lose all the data. Why to make it as an online? Because that is the new hard disk for server 2. If I reattach this volume to the server 1, then no need to do anything. Directly you can access it. Because the second time you are attaching the volume, so the server 1 is aware of that EBS volume, so which is the old hard disk, old volume for your server 1. So directly you can access that. That also we will verify. So now let us log into the server 2. So what are the things we need to log into the Windows EC2 instance? First thing, we need the remote desktop connection. Then we need to have a public IP address, username, and the password. And the tool will be remote desktop connection because it is a Windows server. So how to get the public IP of the server 2? So click on the instances in the EC2 service, select your server 2, and this is the public IP address. And what is the username? Administrator is the default username for all your Windows servers. How to get the password? Select the EC2 instance, click on this connect button, then select the RDP client, click on get password and upload this key pair. Click on browse. It is the key pair. So this is the password. Okay, so now let me log in first. Remote desktop connection. What is the IP address? 54.82.80.15. Click on connect. So let me enter the username and the password. So now I am logging in to the server 2. But if I log in, it will not display that 1 GB volume directly because that is considered as a new volume for the server 2. So initially we have to make that volume as an online and that's it. We can access the drive, 1 GB drive as D drive or whatever it is. Okay, so first thing, how to make it as an online? We have to go to the disk management option. So there are two different ways to open the disk management tool. One is you can through the server manager. So click on start and here click on, that's a direct command, right? The first method is like you can open the server manager. Click on the tools and click on computer management. In this computer management, on the left side, select disk management, which is available under storage. Earlier, whatever the new hard disk we attach, it was shown as unallocated, right? If it is showing unallocated means it doesn't have any file system. If it is showing some color like blue color, that is already having some file system. So here it is showing as an offline. So right click on the disk one and click on online. And that's it. Don't do anything. Because if you right click on the size, you can see format. If you do a format, new file system will be created by deleting all the data. So if I open the my computer like File Explorer, and if I go to this PC, I can see the same 1 GB drive as D drive. The 1 GB is available as a D drive. If I open this, I can see that file. And if I open here, you can see some data, the same data, right? If I modify the data here, and the same modified data will be visible on any other computer also. So I modified the data from server 2, right? If I remove this from the server 1, and if I connect to the server, if I remove from server 2, and if I connect to the server 1, the same data will be available. Okay, so now what I do is, so this is what we have done, right? So we removed this and we connected that to the server 2. So the 1 GB is available as D drive and we modified the file. And now I would like to disconnect this and I would like to again attach to the server 1. So if I reattach to the server 1, the 1 GB volume is the new volume. It is not a new volume for the server 1. Already the server 1 is aware of this 1 GB volume because already few minutes back it was connected once. Once it is connected, the server 1 will identify the EBS volume as existing or the old hardware. So automatically that will be available as online hard disk. It will not be available as an offline. So directly you can use it. So now what I do is detach the EBS volume from server 2 and attach it back to server 1. So in this case, no need to do anything. Directly you can access the data. Directly you can access the data. So how to detach it? Click on the volumes under Elastic Block Store. And this is the one. Select the EBS volume which you would like to detach. So even here you can check that to which volume, to which EC2 instance it got attached. You can see that as a server 2, right? And then click on actions. Let me use force detach this time. So you have to type detach. To confirm detachment, type detach in this field. If you type this detach, then only this option will be available to click. And that is a case sensitive. You have to use all small letters. So now the volume will be detached forcefully. Let me refresh and let me check the status. Still it is showing as in, okay, now it is available, right? Okay, now let me select that EBS volume and let me use attach and let me attach that to the server 1. Attach volume. and it got attached. This is the server 1. The IP address, which is 35.173.248.59. Okay, if I open the file explorer, I can see that 1 GB volume, because that is an old volume, right? That is not the new volume for the server 1. We are not attaching that volume for the first time. This is second time. So it will remember the information about the hard disk, and automatically it will be available as online. So you can use that. Okay. So now let me close this. I don't need this anymore. So this is how we have the setup, right? The 1 GB volume is attached to the 1A. And in this 1 GB volume, we have one file called file1.txt. Now I need the same data to be available on server 3. How can we do that? I need this volume to be attached to the server 3. But the volume is in 1A availability zone and the EC2 instance is in 1B, which is not available. So now the question is, I need this data to be available on server 3. So what I have to do? Like I have to download this data to my local computer, or from here to here, I have to copy. If it is a single file, that is okay. What if there are like thousands of files available, which is a little bit difficult to copy, right? So here we have a concept called snapshot. What is the meaning of a snapshot? It's a kind of a backup. If I create the snapshot of this particular volume, the 1 GB volume, what it will do is it will create one snapshot, which is also called as an image kind of a thing. It contains everything. Whatever is available in the 1 GB drive, every data will be existing in this snapshot. Snapshot is a type of a backup. And from this particular snapshot, this is the snapshot. If I create a new volume from this snapshot, what will happen? The same file will be automatically available here, right? But while you are creating the EBS volume, what are the options you will get? If you remember, yesterday we created the EBS volumes, right? What are the options you are able to select at the time of creating the EBS volume? What is the first option you can select? First option is volume type, then the size, then according to IOPS or throughput, and then what is the next one? Availability zone. You can select the availability zone only at the time of creating the EBS volume. So here this EBS volume is available in 1A. So I created one snapshot, which is called as a manual snapshot. And from this snapshot, if I create an EBS volume, automatically the data will be available in the EBS volume. But while creating the EBS volume, if I am able to select the different availability zone, then I can use this particular EBS volume with the server 3, which is in a different availability zone, right? Okay. So that is the concept actually, but let us divide that into two parts. First, let us discuss about the snapshot. So what is the snapshot? What is a snapshot? Snapshot is a kind of an image which contains all the data of the EBS volume as a backup. I can say that snapshot is a type of an image which contains all the data available on EBS volume as a backup. So what is the use of a backup? What is the use of a backup? If something got deleted by mistakenly, so by using the backup, you can recreate the data, right? That is the actual concept of the backup. So backups can be used to recover the data, whatever we delete by mistakenly. Backups can be used to recover the accidentally deleted data. That is the actual use case of the backup, right? But here the snapshots is a type of an image from which we can recreate the entire EBS volume. That is what we can call it as restore or recover, restoring the EBS volume. That entire EBS volume will be created with the exact data, whatever is available in the backup. So we have two types of snapshots available. What might be those two types of snapshots? Any guess? Any guess? The first one will be the manual snapshot. And the second one will be automated snapshot. So can you guess which one will be recommended to use in the production? Okay, first, what is the difference between the manual snapshot and automated snapshot? Manual snapshot means if I create the snapshot manually, that is called as a manual snapshot. Automated snapshot means the snapshot will be created automatically at a scheduled time. I can schedule something like every day morning at 6 a.m. the snapshot to be created. So without my involvement, the snapshot will be created on a daily basis at morning 6 a.m. That is automated snapshot. So what is the challenges with the manual snapshots? What are the drawbacks? Or what are the disadvantages or challenges? If you have one EC2 instance, you can manually create the snapshot. What if you have 1,000 EC2 instances? Is it possible to select each and every instance manually, or each and every EBS volume manually, and can we create the snapshot? No, which is not possible, right? Only for the backups, you guys have to maintain separate team. But automated snapshot, automatically that will be done. So manual snapshot is we can say that create the snapshot manually. By login to AWS. Automated snapshot is like by creating a schedule, snapshots will be created automatically at a scheduled time interval, like daily once, or every 12 hours once, or every hour I need a backup, I need a snapshot, that you can design at the time of creating that particular schedule. So now what we do is create a manual snapshot of EBS volume, which is 1 GB dash 1A dash GP2. And what is the data available in that EBS volume? There is one file exists, right? Which is the file 1, and it has some data also. So if you create the snapshot of that particular EBS volume, then the same file will be included into the snapshot. I will say like, so we have a 1 GB volume. Let us say this is the 1 GB volume in which we have a file called file1.txt. Right? Now, if I create a snapshot, now we are talking about the manual snapshot, and the name will be, I will give a name as manual snapshot. This is the snapshot. This snapshot doesn't belong to any availability zone. This snapshot will be available in the region. This snapshot we can use in the entire region. So this snapshot also contains the same file, whatever is available on the EBS volume at the time of creating the snapshot. Let us say I create the snapshot at 7 p.m. Whatever the files available at 7 p.m., those data will be available in the manual snapshot. If I create some more data at 7:15 p.m., that newly added data into the EBS volume is not available in the snapshot. Let us say you have one folder in your laptop. In that you have 10 images. Now I copy the folder into my pen drive. How many images you will get into your pen drive? 10. Let us say after 1 hour, I updated the folder in my laptop with 5 more images. So in your laptop, how many images you will have? 15. But what about in your pen drive? 10 only. Unless you copy, it will not be updated in the pen drive, right? In the same way, the snapshot. But at this time, whatever the files available in the 1 GB volume, the same files will be available into the snapshot. And here, from this snapshot, if I create a new EBS volume. So let me create the EBS volume. Whenever you're creating a new EBS volume, it will allow you to choose the availability zone. I will select 1B. And we have a lot of options here. That is, you can change the volume type and you can increase the size, but you cannot decrease the size. At the time of creating the EBS volume, you can select the different sizes also, but you cannot reduce the size of the existing snapshot size. This snapshot was created from 1 GB volume, right? You can create the new EBS volume with 1 GB or more than 1 GB. But to avoid the confusion, we will create with 1 GB only. But first, we have to create a manual snapshot, right? Create a manual snapshot of EBS volume with, and the name will be my manual snapshot. This will be the name of the snapshot. That will be the name of the snapshot. And remember, this snapshot can be used in the entire region. By using that snapshot, we can create new EBS volumes which contains the same data, whatever is available in the snapshot. So if you create this snapshot, the file1.txt will be available into this snapshot, right? Okay. So how to create the snapshot? Go to EC2 service and click on volumes under Elastic Block Store. Click on volumes under Elastic Block Store. Select the EBS volume 1 GB-1A-GP2. Select the EBS volume and click on actions. Click on actions and here click on create snapshot. Click on create snapshot. So here you can give some name, my manual snapshot. And let me use the tag also, name tag. Tag is for identification purpose. Click on create snapshot. So the snapshot is getting created. So where we can check that? Is it done or is it in the process? So on the left side, under Elastic Block Store itself, you can see there is one more option called snapshots. So here is the snapshot which we initiated just now. What is the size of the snapshot? 1 GB. And what is the status? Pending. And progress is 39%. At this moment, while the snapshot status is pending, you cannot use this snapshot to create the new EBS volumes. So whatever the snapshots we created, the snapshot can be used to create a new EBS volume in any availability zone of that region. In that particular region, you can select any availability zone to create a new EBS volume from that snapshot. Once we create the EBS volume, the newly created EBS volume from the snapshot will get the same data available on the snapshot. So what is the data available on the snapshot at the time of creation? One file, which is file1.txt. So if you create a new EBS volume from that snapshot, the new EBS volume will get the same data as it is. Can I use this snapshot in a different region to create the new EBS volume? You cannot. And here, we cannot create the new EBS volume in a different region from the snapshot, or we can say by default. By default, we cannot create the new EBS volume in a different region from the snapshot. The snapshot is available in Northern Virginia region, right? So we can use that snapshot to create the volumes in the same Northern Virginia region. What if I need that volume to be created in a different region? What might be a solution for that? How can we create? I have a requirement to create a new EBS volume in Mumbai region. The snapshot is in Northern Virginia, and I would like to create the volume from that snapshot in Mumbai region. How can we do that? Okay, so if you go back to the concept of AMI, Amazon Machine Image. So how we done that new instance creation using the AMI in a different region? We copied the AMI from one region to other region. So in the same way, we can copy the snapshot from region 1 to region 2, and then you can create the volumes in the other regions also. Okay, so first what we do is we can copy the snapshots from one region to other, so that we can create the EBS volumes in other regions too. So now where is this my manual snapshot exist? In Northern Virginia region. Okay. So create a new EBS volume from the snapshot, my manual snapshot, which is in Northern Virginia, in the availability zone US-East-1B. And then don't change the volume type or volume size. Keep them as is. If you need, you can change it, but for now, don't change those things. That we can cover in the volume management part, like how to change the volume type and how can we increase the size, all the things. Okay, let me refresh here just to check the status. Is it available or not? What is the snapshot status? Completed, and the progress is available. 100% is available. Okay. So now to create that new EBS volume from the snapshot, go to EC2 service. This is the EC2 service. Click on snapshots under Elastic Block Store. Then select the snapshot. Select the snapshot. Click on actions. click on actions and select the option create volume from snapshot. Select create volume from snapshot. So now you can see the page as the same as how we create the new EBS volume, right? Okay, you can change the volume type also, but the difference is here you can see the snapshot ID. The EBS volume will be created from this snapshot. So that whatever the data is available in this snapshot, the same data will be automatically available into the newly created EBS volume. Don't change the size, but you can change it. Don't change the volume type, you can change it. And the availability zone, I will select 1B. So here in the tag, I will use a tag as 1GB-1B-GP2. Just I will use a unique name for identification purpose. Click on create volume, and the volume is getting created from the snapshot. So now to check the process of that volume creation, go back to the volumes. Just let me refresh. So this is the one, right? 1GB-1B-GP2. And you can see the status is available, right? Now, can I attach this to the server 3? Yes, because the EBS volume is in 1B and the server 3 is in 1B availability zone. Attach the EBS volume to the EC2 instance server 3. Earlier, we were unable to attach because the EBS volume is in one availability zone and the EC2 instance is in different availability zone. Okay, after attaching this, we have to log into the server 3. Then what steps we have to execute to make that 1GB drive is usable? Obviously, we have to make it as online because the volume is the new volume for the server 3. And then initialize, then file system. Okay, so already we have a file system, right? From the snapshot we created, right? What is available in the snapshot? Whatever is available in the old EBS volume, everything will be included into the snapshot. What is available in the old EBS volume? We have an NTFS file system and it has some file called file1. If I recreate a file system on the newly created EBS volume, you will lose all the data. Already it has a file system and it has a data. So what we do is just log into server 3 and then make the EBS volume online. That's it. No need to do any other things. Because if you try to create a file system, the existing file system will be removed and you will lose all the data. So already we are done with this part, right? Create the new EBS volume from the snapshot. Now what I do is, let us try to attach that EBS volume to 3. How to do that? Select the volume, click on actions, attach volume. And now here you can see only server 3. You cannot see the server 1 and server 2 because the EBS volume is in 1B and the server 3 is in 1B. Click on attach volume. So it got attached and now we have to log into server 3. So what all we need? Public IP address. This is the public IP address and the username is administrator. And I need to get the password. Quickly, I will get the password because already we have seen twice how to get the password. is the password. Okay, so now let me open the remote desktop connection. IP address is 54.145.186.99. And let me enter the username and the password. So now we are trying to log into server 3, to which we attach the newly created EBS volume. And the EBS volume got created from the snapshot. As per the theory, we will get the one file called file1.txt, right? Because in the snapshot, that file was included. The same file will be created into the newly created EBS volume. Okay, that we will verify. But as it is a new volume, we have to make it as an online. Just wait for 2 minutes. Okay, so what I do is directly I will type the disk mgmt.msc, because we are using t2.micro instances, right? That's why it will be a little bit slow initially. And you can see the 1 GB volume. What is the status? Offline. Just make it online. Only we have to create the file system if it is showing as an unallocated. But it is not showing as an unallocated, right? Okay. So now let me close this. And if I open the file explorer, and if I go to this PC, you can see the D drive and you can see the same file. So this is how you can use the snapshots to restore all your data, like to recover all your data. So then how to create the automated snapshot? Manual snapshot is like we can create the manual snapshots. Occasionally, we will use the manual snapshots. But all the time, for day-to-day activities, we have to use automated snapshots, because there will be no time that every day morning we have to log in and we have to create a manual snapshot. How to create an automated snapshot? Any guess? Okay, so here I can say automated snapshot. Already we know that the automated snapshots will be created automatically, right? By using lifecycle manager, we can configure automated snapshot. How is? By creating life cycle policy. In the life cycle manager, we have to create a life cycle policy. By creating life cycle policy, we can schedule when to create an automated snapshot and what else we need with the backups. Let us say you created the backups daily once. How long you would like to maintain the backups? How many days you need that file as a backup? Every day a new file will be created, right? So according to your requirement, you can select a retention period. When to create an automated snapshot, and we can select the retention period. What is the retention period means? How many days that the backup to be maintained. What is the meaning of that is, let us say from the last 1 month, the backups are creating every day one backup. Is there any use of having 30 days older backup file? No, hardly we will use like last 3 days or maximum last 7 days. Let us say if you have like a 500 days back file, that is outdated one, and you cannot get any use with that very oldest backups. So here we will use a retention period. Retention period means how many days you would like to maintain that backup. Let us say if I select the retention period as a 7 days, On eighth day, the backup will be deleted. Let us say on January 1st, the backup was created. On January 8th, the backup is 8 days older, right? Which is more than 7 days older. So that January 1st backup will be deleted on January 8th. January 2nd backup will be deleted on January 9th. Whenever the 7 days completed, on the 8th day, the backup will be deleted. That is what the retention period means. Okay. So if you create the life cycle policy here, and how many volumes we have? We have almost like 12 volumes. How the life cycle policy will create the automated backups? Does all the EBS volumes will be configured for the automated snapshot? No, we have to mention that which volumes to be added for the automated snapshots. How to select? There is a concept called tagging concept, right? So we can say that we can target the EBS volumes using the tags for automated backups. What is the meaning of that? What is the meaning of that? While you are creating the lifecycle policy, we will configure that whatever the EBS volumes are having a specific tag. If any EBS volume is having a tag called backup yes, or production yes, or ABC yes, or whatever it is, that doesn't matter. And if you configure the policy in such a way, then whatever the EBS volumes are having that specific tag, only those EBS volumes will be automatically included for the snapshots. That we will see at the time of a creation. So right now, what I do is create a life cycle policy to capture an automated snapshot of the EBS volumes with the tag backup is yes. This will be the tag. Tag is the combination of key value. Key value. This is the key and this is the value. And as of now, we don't have any EBS volumes with this tag, right? So have you assigned this tag to any EBS volume? No. So if I configure a lifecycle policy with this particular rule, no EBS volume will be included for the automated snapshot. But we will create in that way, and we will update 2 or 3 EBS volumes with this tag. Snapshot of the EBS volumes with the tag backup yes, and the snapshot to be created at morning 6:30 a.m. India time, and the retention period to be 4 days. The retention period to be 4 days. With these values, we are going to create one lifecycle policy. Right now, we have almost like 12 EBS volumes, and no EBS volume is having this particular tag. So what I do is, the first thing, to verify the backup process, update any 3 EBS volumes with the tag backup yes. There is no rule that you have to use this particular tag. You can use something like ABC XYZ also. You can use this as a tag also. But always we will use some kind of meaningful keywords, right? That's why I'm using this particular tag. And then create life cycle policy for automated snapshots. So if you create today, by tomorrow morning, we can check those snapshots. Okay? Because the snapshots will be created at 6:30 a.m. India time. That's what we are going to configure. Okay, so wait. Okay, right now. Okay, so now go to your EC2 service and here select volumes under Elastic Block Store. So here we have a lot of EBS volumes, right? So now what I do is I will select a few or 3 EBS volumes one by one. I will select this EBS volume. I would like to add one tag to this particular EBS volume with backup is yes. So select the EBS volume and here you can see there are different tabs available. Click on the tags. You can see there is one tag available. What is the tag? Name is this. So click on manage tags just to add a new tag. Total, how many tags you can add per EBS volume? Or how many tags you can add to a user, IAM user? 50. Maximum you can use 50 tags. Click on manage tag. You can see here. Already there is one tag. You can add 49 more tags. Click on add. So here I will use backup. Yes. Backup. Yes. Then click on save. What happened now? Out of 12 volumes, one volume is having a tag called backup is yes. This is the one. Click on tags. You can see the backup. Yes. In the same way, I will update that on two other EC2 or two other EBS volumes also. Click on manage tags, add tag, backup. Yes. So now, as of now, two EBS volumes are having the tag. Let me select one more. Here it is. Tags, manage tags, add tag, backup. Yes. Click on save. So out of 12 EBS volumes, 3 EBS volumes are having the tag called backup yes. And if I create the lifecycle policy for the automated snapshot, out of the 12, only those 3 volumes will be created with automated snapshot every day. Okay. So now on the left side, under Elastic Block Store, click on Lifecycle Manager. Click on Lifecycle Manager under Elastic Block Store. And here, click on next step. Make sure that the policy type is EBS snapshot policy. Make sure that the policy type is EBS snapshot policy and click on next step. So what is our target resource? What we are trying to create a backup? Snapshot of EBS volumes, right? So select the volume. If you would like to create a snapshot of the EC2 instance, then you have to select the instance. That is the only difference. Select the volume and which volumes you would like to create automated snapshot. Whatever the EBS volumes are having a tag, backup, yes. Click on add. If any EBS volume is having this particular tag called backup, yes, then that will be applicable with this particular lifecycle policy. So here I can say my automated snapshot. You can give any name for the lifecycle or any name for this policy. So here there is some role. What is this role? What is that role? What is the use of a role? What is role? IAM role. What is the use of a policy? IAM policy. By using the IAM policy, you can give some permissions to the users so the user can access your resources, right? So what is the use of a role? By using the roles, you can give permission to one resource so that the resource 1 can manage the resource 2. In this automated snapshot, what is happening here is life cycle policy, whatever the policy we are creating, that is going to read the data from the EBS volume, right? Without reading, how it will copy the data? It requires a read permission. By default, no service will have permissions on any other service. So this lifecycle policy must have a permission to read the data from the EBS volume and to create the snapshot of the EBS volume. Those permissions can be provided using the role concept. But don't worry, we are not going to create the role. Automatically, the role will be created by AWS itself. And here you can click here and you can see what are the permissions provided. Create snapshot, delete snapshot, describe means list. Describe volumes. Describe volume means for every volume, it has to observe what are the tags available. Because based on the tags only, the volumes will be included for the automated snapshot. So whatever the permissions are required by this policy, those permissions will be provided using this particular role. Without this role, this policy will not work. This role will give the permissions to this policy to create the snapshot on a different resource. Lifecycle policy is one resource, and the volumes are different resource, and the snapshot is a different resource. So the permissions will be provided using the role. We don't create any role, just a default role, and that will be automatically created. Just scroll down and make sure that the policy status is enabled. By default, it will be enabled, but just make sure that it is enabled. And then click on next. Click on next. You can give some name, schedule name, like daily once. That means I would like to create the backup daily once. At what time? Daily, like how many times? Daily every 12 hours. That means daily 2 backups. Like morning 6:30 one backup, evening 6:30 one backup. If I select 3 hours, then how many backups per day? Every 3 hours, one backup, 8 backups. So if I select 24 hours, then daily one backup. Okay. And I would like to create the backup at morning 6:30 a.m. So what I have to mention here? 6:30 India timing, right? This is UTC. What is the India timing? Time zone. UTC plus 5:30. So if I use 01, this is the equivalent to the India 6:30 a.m. It is a universal time zone. If you add 5.5 hours to the universal time zone, then you will get the India time. So if you add 5.5 to 1, that will be 6:30 a.m. Retention type. I would like to select age, and how many days we have? 4 days, right? Age is 4 days. That means if the backup of if the age of any snapshot is more than 4 days, then the snapshot will be automatically deleted. Scroll down, click on review policy. You can review all the options, whatever you have selected, and then click on create policy. The policy got created. And if I go to the snapshots page, how many snapshots are there? Only one snapshot. By tomorrow's session, you can see 3 more snapshots which got created by the lifecycle policy. Those are automated snapshots. So why 3? Why not 12? We have 12 EBS volumes, right? Why don't we get 12 EBS automated snapshots by tomorrow? Only with the tag called backup yes. Whatever the EBS volumes are having the tag backup is yes, only those EBS volumes will be included for the automated snapshot. Out of these 12 volumes, we have only 3 volumes with the tag called backup yes. That's why by tomorrow's session, in this snapshots page, you can see 3 more snapshots in this place. If you check day after tomorrow, you can see total 6. Tomorrow morning 3 and day after tomorrow morning 3. And if you go for like on Sunday, then again 3 more will be added. But whenever the backups are more than 4 days older, If it is the 5th day, automatically that data, that snapshot will be deleted. You can check after 10 days. You can see only 4 days of backups. 4 multiplied with 3, which is 12 backups you can see at any time. Okay, right. So this is about the EBS volume creation and snapshots, attaching the EBS volumes to the EC2 instances. So in the next session, we will cross check the snapshots are getting created as per the schedule or not. And then we can see the volume management. Because after creation, I would like to change the type of the EBS volume, or I would like to increase the size of the volume. That will be covered under the volume management, which we can see in the tomorrow's session. Okay. So before closing the session, as of now, are you guys clear or any questions? If you have any questions, you can ask me now. And if you guys are clear, you can leave. Yes, up to EC2 I posted. So once we are done with the, I think today I will upload the EBS volume also. Google Classroom. No, Google Drive. Yes, Google Drive, yes. Yes, that's one. I mean, whatever the email you have provided, with that you have to log.